The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was bigger than most cities. Thousands of beings from across the galaxy sat in curved rows that reached up to the ceiling. The air buzzed with nervous talk in hundreds of different languages. Today was not a normal meeting day. Speaker Vexitar stood at the center podium. His 6 arms moved as he spoke, and his bug-like eyes looked over the crowd. He was from the Hive Collective, a race that looked like giant insects but were very smart. His voice was loud and clear through the translation devices. "We are here today to talk about the Apex Hunter problem," Vexitar said. The hall became quiet. Everyone knew about the Apex Hunters. They were the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. Admiral Zorketh stood up from his seat. He was a reptile being, tall and covered in green scales. His people had lost 3 worlds to Apex Hunter attacks. "We must destroy their home planet," he said. His voice was angry. "These beasts cannot be stopped any other way." Many beings nodded. The Apex Hunters were 12 feet tall and made of living crystal. They had sharp arms that could cut through metal. Their minds only thought about hunting and killing. For over 500 years, no one had ever tamed one. Everyone who tried was found dead, torn apart by crystal claws. Trade Minister Linara from the Peaceful Federation shook her head. She was blue-skinned and had large, kind eyes. "We cannot just kill them all," she said. "There must be another way. Maybe we can build walls to keep them away from our worlds." "Walls will not stop them," said Dr. Kethmol from the Science Guild. He was a floating jellyfish-like being. "They are too smart. They learn how to break through any barrier we build." The argument went on for an hour. Some wanted to fight the hunters. Others wanted to hide from them. No one had a good answer. The Apex Hunters were just too dangerous. Then, the main doors opened. A human woman walked into the hall. She wore a simple blue uniform with the Earth symbol on her chest. Her name was Maya Rodriguez, and she was a captain in the Terran Exploration Corps. She had brown hair tied back and calm brown eyes. She walked with steady steps toward the center of the hall, but she was not alone. Behind her walked 3 massive Apex Hunters. Each one was 12 feet tall. Their bodies were made of crystal that caught the light and threw it around the room in rainbow colors. Their arms ended in sharp points that could cut a person in half. Their heads had no eyes that anyone could see, but everyone knew they could sense everything around them. The hall became completely silent. It was so quiet that Maya could hear her own footsteps on the metal floor. Several council members jumped up from their seats. Others reached for their personal shields. A few just stared with their mouths open. Security guards ran into the hall with their weapons ready, but they were shaking. Everyone knew that normal weapons could not hurt an Apex Hunter. The crystal skin was too strong. Maya kept walking. The 3 hunters followed her in a perfect line. They moved like they were dancing together. When she stopped, they stopped. When she turned, they turned. It was like they were reading her mind. She reached the center podium and looked up at Speaker Vexitar. The giant insect being was frozen in place. His 6 arms were spread wide and his bug eyes were huge with fear. "Honorable council members," Maya said. Her voice was calm and clear. "I think we need to talk about changing your rules about Apex Hunters being impossible to tame." Admiral Zorketh stood up so fast that his chair fell over. "Impossible," he shouted. "Those are killing machines. They will attack at any moment." As if they heard him, the 3 hunters turned their heads toward the Admiral. But they did not move toward him. They just looked, then turned back to face forward. Maya had not given them any signal that anyone could see. "This is some kind of trick," said Dr. Kethmol. "The humans must be using mind control technology." Maya shook her head. "No technology," she said. "These are my friends. Their names are Storm, Blade, and Echo. We have been together for 2 years." She reached out and touched the head of the hunter closest to her. The massive creature leaned into her hand like a giant cat. A low sound came from its body. It was like music, soft and peaceful. The council members could not believe what they were seeing. For hundreds of years they had been told that Apex Hunters only knew how to kill. They had no feelings and could not be trained. Yet here was a human woman petting one like it was her pet. Trade Minister Lin Ara was the first to speak. "How is this possible?" she asked. Her voice was very quiet. Maya smiled. "It took time and patience," she said. "I learned that they are not just killing machines, they are smart. They have feelings they can learn to trust." "Trust?" Admiral Zorketh laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "These beasts killed thousands of my people. They know only death." Storm, the hunter that Maya was touching, turned his head toward the Admiral again. This time his body made a different sound. It was deeper and had a warning in it, but he did not move from Maya's side. "Storm does not like it when people are angry," Maya said. "But he will not attack unless I am in danger. None of them will." Speaker Vexitar finally found his voice. "Captain Rodriguez," he said, "what you claim goes against everything we know about these creatures. How can you prove that they are truly tamed?" Maya looked around the great hall. Thousands of beings were staring at her and her three companions. She could see fear in their eyes, but also something else. Hope. "Give me a chance," she said. "Let me show you what is possible when you treat them with respect instead of fear." The three hunters stood perfectly still behind her. Stormblade and Echo waited for her next words. They trusted her completely and she trusted them. "The council will consider your request," Speaker Vextar said. But his voice showed that he was not sure about anything anymore. Everything he thought he knew about apex hunters had just changed. Maya nodded and turned to leave. The three hunters followed her in the same perfect line. As they walked toward the door, not one council member moved. They all watched in silence as the impossible became real. The galaxy would never be the same. The council hall exploded with noise after Maya left. Every being was talking at once. Some were scared. Others were angry. Many were confused. No one could agree on what they had just seen. Speaker Vexitar hit his gavel on the podium many times. "Order," he shouted. "We must have order." Slowly the noise died down, but the fear in the air was still thick. "This changes nothing," Admiral Zorketh said. He was standing with his hands on his hips. "The human is using some kind of trick. Those monsters will turn on her. Mark my words." "But what if she is telling the truth?" asked Trade Minister Lin Ara. "What if we have been wrong about them all this time?" "Impossible," said Dr. Kethmol. "We have studied these creatures for hundreds of years. They have no emotions. They cannot form bonds with other beings." While the council argued, Maya was in a small meeting room next to the Great Hall. The three hunters sat around her in a circle. They were calm and quiet. Their crystal bodies made soft musical sounds. Dr. Elena Martinez walked into the room. She was a scientist from Earth who studied alien life forms. She had worked with Maya before and was not afraid of the hunters. "The council wants proof," Elena said. "They think you are using some kind of mind control device." Maya laughed. "Mind control? I wish it was that easy." She scratched behind Storm's head. The big hunter made a happy sound. "It took me 6 months just to get Storm to let me come near him." Helena sat down in a chair across from Maya. "Tell me the story again. I want to make sure I have all the facts right." Maya nodded. She had told this story many times, but people still found it hard to believe. 2 years ago, I was part of a research team studying the dead world of Kethra," Maya began. "That's where the apex hunters come from. Most of the team stayed on the ship, but I wanted to go down to the surface." Storm moved closer to Maya as she talked. It was like he remembered the story too. "On my 3rd day there, I found Storm. He was just a young hunter then, maybe only 8 feet tall. He had been hurt in a fight with older hunters. His crystal skin was cracked and he was bleeding." Elena knew this part, but she let Maya continue. "The smart thing would have been to leave him there. Everyone said apex hunters could not be helped, but I could not just walk away. He was in pain." Maya remembered that day clearly. Storm had been lying behind some rocks, barely breathing. His crystal body was dull instead of bright. I set up camp about 50 feet away from him. Not too close, but close enough that he could see me. I left food for him every day, clean water, medicine for his wounds. And he did not attack you? Elena asked. He tried to scare me away at first. He would make loud, angry sounds when I came near. But I never ran. I would just put the food down and back away slowly. I talked to him the whole time. Storm made a soft sound and touched Maya's hand with his crystal claw. She had learned that this was how hunters showed love. After 2 weeks, he started eating the food. After a month, he would let me come within 20 feet. After 2 months, he let me touch him. What about Blade and Echo? Elena asked. Maya looked at the other 2 hunters. Blade was bigger than Storm with darker crystal skin. Echo was the smallest, but her crystal was the brightest. Storm brought them to me, Maya said. Hunters live in family groups. Storm's family had been killed, so he was alone. But then he found Blade and Echo. They had lost their families too. Blade moved over to Maya and put his big head on her knee. Even sitting down, he was taller than she was. Storm brought them to our camp one day. They were scared and hungry, but Storm told them I was safe. I could see it in the way he acted around me. He was showing them that I was part of his family now. Elena shook her head. The council scientists will say this. It's impossible. They believe hunters cannot think or feel. Then the council scientists are wrong, Maya said. Hunters are very smart. They have their own language, they take care of each other, they even play games. As if to prove her point, Echo picked up a small metal ball from the floor. She tossed it to Blade, who caught it and tossed it to Storm. Storm gave it back to Echo. It was a game they had learned on the ship. They remember everything, Maya continued. Storm remembers every person who was kind to him. He also remembers everyone who tried to hurt him. They all do. Elena was taking notes on her computer. The council wants you to prove that they are really tamed. They want to test them. Maya frowned. I do not like the word tamed. That makes it sound like I broke them or forced them to obey me. That is not what happened. Then what would you call it? Partnership, Maya said. We are partners. I take care of them and they take care of me. We trust each other. Storm stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the council building. Maya could tell he was nervous. There were too many new smells and sounds here. It is okay, boy, Maya said softly. We will go home soon. Storm came back and sat next to her. His crystal body was warm against her side. The council wants to see a demonstration, Elena said. They want to put you and the hunters in a test chamber. They will create situations to see how the hunters react. Maya was quiet for a long time. She knew this day would come. People needed proof before they would believe. What kind of test? She asked. They want to see if the hunters will attack holographic images of council members. They want to know if the hunters can tell the difference between real threats and fake ones. Maya looked at her 3 friends. Storm, Blade, and Echo all looked back at her. She could see trust in their movements. They would do whatever she asked, even if they did not understand why. Okay, Maya said finally. We will do the test, but I have some rules. What rules? First, no one gets to call them monsters or beasts. They are hunters, and they deserve respect. Second, if I say the test is over, it is over. No arguments. Elena nodded. I think I can get the council to agree to that. Maya stood up and walked to the window. Outside, she could see ships from all over the galaxy. Each one carried beings who were afraid of apex hunters. Maybe after tomorrow they would not be afraid anymore. There is one more thing, Maya said. After the test, I want to tell them the real secret. What secret? Maya smiled and looked at her 3 companions. The secret is that hunters do not want to hurt anyone. They only attack when they are scared or protecting their families. All they really want is to belong somewhere. Storm made his musical sound again. Maya had learned that this meant he was happy. Soon the whole galaxy would learn what that sound meant too. The next morning, the council met again. This time the Great Hall was even more crowded. Word had spread across the galaxy about the human woman and her apex hunters. Ships had come from everywhere to see if the stories were true. Admiral Zorketh stood up first. His green scales looked darker today and his eyes were angry. "I do not believe what we saw yesterday," he said. "These creatures killed my people. They destroyed 3 of our worlds. They cannot be trusted." Many beings in the hall nodded. They had their own stories about apex hunter attacks, destroyed cities, dead families, lost worlds. "But what if Captain Rodriguez is right?" asked Trade Minister Lynn Ara. "What if we have been wrong about them?" "Wrong?" Admiral Zorketh's voice got louder. "I saw the bodies with my own eyes. Hunters tore apart my soldiers. They are killing machines. Nothing more." Speaker Vextar raised his 6 arms for quiet. "The Council has decided to test Captain Rodriguez's claims," he announced. "She and her companions will face a series of challenges in our testing facility." Maya stood up in the visitor section. "What kind of challenges?" she asked. "We will create situations that test the hunter's self-control," Vextar explained. "Holographic prey animals, images of fleeing council members. We need to see if they can resist their hunting instincts." Maya felt Storm shift beside her. The big hunter could sense her worry. Blade and Echo moved closer too. They always stayed together when Maya was upset. "This is not a circus show," Maya said firmly. "If we do this test, it is to teach people, not to entertain them." "Of course," said Vextar. "We want to learn the truth." Dr. Elena Martinez stood up next to Maya. "I want full access to all sensor data," she said, "and I want other scientists watching. This needs to be fair." "Agreed," said Vextar. Admiral Zorketh was not happy. "When these beasts show their true nature, I hope you are ready for the consequences," he said. Maya looked down at Storm. The hunter was looking up at her with his eyeless head. She could not see his eyes, but she could feel his trust. It was like a warm feeling in her chest. "We are ready," Maya said. The testing facility was in the lower levels of the council building. It was a huge room with metal walls and a dome ceiling. The walls could create any environment with holograms. Observation windows looked down from above, where hundreds of council members would watch. Dr. Ben Carter was already in the facility when Maya arrived. He was a human scientist who studied behavior. He had worked with Earth animals for many years before coming to space. "I have been studying the test plans," Ben said. "They want to push the hunters to their limits." Maya nodded. "Storm, Blade, and Echo can handle it. The question is whether the Council can handle seeing the truth." The 3 hunters explored the room carefully. Their crystal bodies made soft chiming sounds as they moved. They were checking for threats and escape routes. It was smart behavior, not animal instinct. "The first test will start soon," Ben said. "Are you ready?" Maya looked at her 3 friends. Storm was the leader of their little family. Blade was the protector. Echo was the youngest and smartest. Each one was special. "We have been ready for 2 years," she said. The observation windows filled with beings from across the galaxy. Maya could see Admiral Zorketh in the front row. His arms were crossed, and his face showed that he expected the worst. Speaker Vextar's voice came through the speakers. "Captain Rodriguez, please prepare for the first test." The room around them changed. Suddenly they were standing in a forest. Holographic animals ran in all directions. They looked real and smelled real and sounded real. Maya could see small deer-like creatures, rabbit things, and bird animals flying overhead. The hunters reacted immediately. Their heads snapped toward the moving prey, their bodies tensed like springs ready to jump. These were the exact movements. That meant an attack was coming. But Maya spoke one word: hold. All 3 hunters froze. Their bodies still vibrated with hunting energy, but they did not move. The holographic animals kept running around them, but the hunters stayed still. "Impossible," someone whispered in the observation area. The animals ran closer to the hunters. One holographic deer even bumped into Blade's leg. The big hunter's claws twitched, but he did not move. "Very good," Maya said softly. "Very good, my friends." The first test lasted 10 minutes. When it ended, the 3 hunters were tired from fighting their instincts, but they had not moved from their positions. Test 2 beginning now, Speaker Vextar announced. This time, the room filled with council members, not real ones, but perfect holographic copies. They were running and screaming in panic. Some fell down, others called for help. It was exactly what happened during a real apex hunter attack. Echo took a step forward. She was the youngest and had the strongest hunting drive. The running figures triggered every instinct in her crystal body, but Storm made a low warning sound. It was not angry, just a reminder. Echo stopped and backed up to her position. Maya watched the holographic council members run around them. She saw Admiral Zorketh's image fall down and cry for help. She saw Trade Minister Lin Ara trying to hide behind a rock. She saw dozens of other beings acting like prey. The hunters saw all of this too. Their bodies wanted to chase. Their claws wanted to strike. But they trusted Maya more than they trusted their instincts. Hold position, Maya said again. For 15 long minutes, chaos surrounded them. But the 3 hunters did not move. When the test ended, the observation area was completely quiet. No one could believe what they had seen. Apex hunters had watched their natural prey run in panic and had done nothing. Final test beginning, Speaker Vexitar said. His voice sounded different now, less sure. The holographic images disappeared. Then the doors opened, and real council members walked into the room. Maya heard several gasps from the observation windows. This was the most dangerous test. Real beings, with real smells and real fear, were coming close to 3 apex hunters. Trade Minister Lin Ara was one of the volunteers. Her blue skin was pale with fear, but she walked forward anyway. Dr. Kethamol floated beside her, his jellyfish body glowing with nervous light. The hunter's sensory organs locked onto the real beings. Maya could see every muscle in their crystal, bodies tense up. These were not holograms. These were actual prey animals. But something amazing happened. Instead of attacking, the 3 hunters moved into a protective circle around Maya and the volunteers. They faced outward, watching for threats. They are protecting us, Lin Ara whispered. Maya smiled. This is what I have been trying to tell you. They are not killers. They are guardians. Lin Ara slowly reached out her hand toward Blade. The massive hunter lowered his head and let her touch his crystal skin. The musical sound he made was soft and welcoming. By the stars, Lin Ara said. They are beautiful. Up in the observation area, Admiral Zorketh stood with his mouth open. Everything he thought he knew about apex hunters was wrong. These creatures were not monsters. They were something else entirely. The test was over, but the real learning was just beginning. The news of the successful tests spread across the galaxy faster than light speed. Within hours, every major news network was talking about the human woman and her apex hunters. Some called it impossible. Others called it the biggest discovery in galactic history. Maya sat in her temporary quarters with Storm, Blade, and Echo. They were tired from all the testing, but they seemed proud. They had done well, and Maya had praised them many times. Dr. Elena Martinez rushed into the room with her computer tablet. Maya, you need to see this, she said. Requests for help are coming in from everywhere. Maya looked at the screen. Messages were pouring in from dozens of worlds. Each one had the same problem. Dangerous predators that could not be stopped. The Reptilian Empire wants help with crystal wolves on Andromeda Prime, Elena read. The Peaceful Federation is asking about shadow stalkers in the Outer Rim. Even the Trade Guild wants to know if your methods work on deep hunters. Maya scratched, Storm behind his head. The big hunter made his happy musical sound. What do you think, boy? Are you ready to meet some cousins? Dr. Ben Carter walked in with Speaker Vextar behind him. The giant insect being looked very different from yesterday. His 6 arms were relaxed, and his bug eyes were bright with interest. Captain Rodriguez, Vextar said formally. The Council has voted. We want to create a new position just for you, Director of Interspecies Predator Relations. Maya blinked in surprise. That is a very long title. It is a very important job, Vextar said. We want you to teach others how to do what you have done. We want to try your methods on other worlds, with other predator species. What about Admiral Zorketh? Maya asked. He was not very happy with our demonstration. Vextar made a sound that might have been laughter. Admiral Zorketh has had a change of heart. He wants to be the first to try your methods on his colony worlds. Maya was shocked. The Admiral had been so angry and afraid. What changed his mind? He saw the truth, Vextar said. During the final test, when your hunters protected the volunteers instead of attacking them, he realized something. The attacks on his worlds might not have been random hunting. They might have been acts of defense. Maya nodded slowly. She had suspected this for a long time. Hunters only attack when they feel threatened or when they are protecting their territory. The Admiral reviewed all the attack reports, Ben said. In every case, his people had landed on hunter territory first. They were trying to build mining stations or military bases. The hunters were defending their homes. This was exactly what Maya had hoped people would understand. Apex hunters were not evil monsters. They were just trying to survive. So what happens now? Maya asked. Now we start the real work, Elena said. We need to set up training programs. We need to teach people how to approach predators safely. We need to change how the galaxy thinks about dangerous species. Over the next few weeks, Maya found herself busier than ever before. The council gave her a huge budget and a staff of scientists from many different species. They built new facilities for training and research. Storm, Blade, and Echo became famous across the galaxy. Their pictures were on news feeds everywhere. Children from dozens of worlds drew pictures of them. They had become symbols of hope and friendship. The first training class started with 20 students from 10 different species. Maya taught them the basic rules: respect, patience, and understanding. Never approach with weapons. Never show fear. Always offer food and water before trying to make contact. Admiral Zorketh was Maya's first official student. The proud reptilian warrior was nervous about being near apex hunters, but he was determined to learn. Storm seemed to understand that the Admiral had been afraid and was very gentle with him. I was wrong about them, the Admiral admitted during one training session. I let my anger and fear cloud my judgment. Fear is natural, Maya said, but it should not control our actions. The Admiral reached out slowly and touched Storm's crystal head. The hunter's musical response was warm and welcoming. Tears formed in the Admiral's reptilian eyes. My people could have been friends with them all along, he said quietly. The training program expanded quickly. Soon there were classes for crystal wolves, shadow stalkers, deep hunters, and dozens of other predator species. Each type required different approaches, but the basic principles stayed the same. Trade Minister Linara became the program's biggest supporter. She helped get funding and political backing from worlds across the galaxy. She also became very good friends with Echo, who seemed to enjoy the minister's gentle personality. This changes everything, Linara said during one council meeting. We are not just talking about predators anymore. We are talking about changing how all species interact with each other. The success stories started coming in from everywhere. A human trainer on Andromeda Prime had successfully befriended a pack of crystal wolves. Another trainer in the Outer Rim was working with shadow stalkers to protect trade routes instead of attacking them. But the biggest success came from Admiral Zorketh's own worlds. 3 months after completing his training, he returned to the colonies that had been attacked by apex hunters. This time, instead of bringing weapons, he brought food and gifts. The wild hunters were suspicious at first. They had learned to fear the reptilian people. But the Admiral was patient. He followed everything Maya had taught him. He showed respect. He offered friendship instead of force. It took 2 weeks. But finally, the oldest hunter in the pack approached the Admiral. The meeting was filmed and broadcast across the galaxy. Billions of beings watched as the Admiral and the hunter touched foreheads in a gesture of peace. This moment will be remembered forever, Speaker Vextar announced. Today we learned that there are no natural enemies. There are only beings who have not yet learned to understand each other. Maya watched the broadcast from her new office at the Institute for Predator-Prey Relations. Storm was lying on the floor beside her desk, and Blade and Echo were playing, with some students in the next room. "You started something big, old friend," Maya said to Storm. The hunter looked up at her with his eyeless head. His crystal body glowed with contentment. He had found his purpose, just like Maya had found hers. Outside the window, Maya could see ships arriving from all over the galaxy. Each one brought new students, new challenges, and new opportunities for understanding. The galaxy was changing, one friendship at a time. "Ready for tomorrow's class?" Maya asked Storm. The hunter's musical response was full of joy. Tomorrow they would meet a group of young deep hunters who had been separated from their pack. It would be difficult work, but Maya and Storm had learned that the most difficult cases often became the most rewarding friendships. The galaxy was finally learning what Maya had discovered 2 years ago on a dead world. Sometimes the most dangerous. Creatures make the most loyal friends. They just need someone brave enough to offer trust instead of fear. 1 year later, Maya stood on the observation deck of the new Institute for Predator-Prey Relations. The building was huge, with training facilities, research labs, and living spaces for dozens of different species. Through the big windows, she could see students working with creatures that had once been considered the most dangerous in the galaxy. Storm walked up beside her. He was wearing a special harness now that showed he was a council diplomatic guardian. The harness was made of soft metal that felt good against his crystal skin. Blade and Echo had similar harnesses, but theirs were different colors. "Look at that," Maya said, pointing to a training yard below. In the yard, a young woman from the Peaceful Federation was sitting with 3 crystal wolves. The wolves were smaller than apex hunters, but their teeth were just as sharp. 6 months ago, these same wolves had been attacking trade ships. Now they were learning to work with people. "Remember when everyone said that was impossible?" Maya asked Storm. The hunter made his musical sound. Over the past year, Dr. Ben Carter had learned that hunters had many different sounds for different feelings. This sound meant Storm was remembering something happy. Elena Martinez walked onto the observation deck with a stack of reports. "Maya, you need to see the latest numbers," she said. Maya looked at the papers. The results were amazing. Predator attacks across the galaxy had dropped by 90%. More importantly, many former predators were now working as partners with other species. "The crystal wolves on Andromeda Prime are helping to guard mining stations," Elena read. "The shadow stalkers in the Outer Rim are working as scouts for trade convoys. Even the deep hunters in the Galactic Core are helping to explore dangerous regions." Maya smiled. This was better than she had ever hoped. "What about the reptilian colonies?" Admiral Zorketh reports complete success. "The Apex, hunters that used to attack his worlds, are now protecting them. They help watch for real threats and even assist with rescue operations." Storm's head turned toward the door. His senses were much better than Maya's, so he always knew when someone was coming. A moment later, Admiral Zorketh walked in. The Admiral looked very different from the angry, scared being Maya had first met. He moved with confidence now, and his green scales had a healthy shine. Most importantly, he was not alone. Behind him walked a massive apex hunter. This one was even bigger than Storm, with dark crystal skin that had silver streaks through it. The Admiral had named him Guardian, and they had become close friends over the past few months. "Captain Rodriguez," the Admiral said formally, then smiled. "Maya, I have news from the outer colonies. Good news, I hope. The best news. The hunter pack on Colony 7 has agreed to help us explore the dangerous mountains in the north. There might be valuable minerals there, but it is too risky for my people alone. With the hunters as guides and protectors, we can safely explore the whole region." Maya was proud but not surprised. This was exactly the kind of partnership she had dreamed about. "There is something else," the Admiral continued. "The pack leaders want to meet you. They have heard stories about the human who first befriended their kind. They want to thank you personally." Storm moved closer to Maya. He could sense her emotions, and right now she was feeling very happy and proud. Trade Minister Lynn Ara arrived, with her own companion. A small, silver-colored apex hunter named Harmony walked beside her. Harmony was special because she was the first hunter born in captivity who had been raised from birth by multiple species. "Maya, the council has an announcement," Linara said. "We are expanding the program again. 15 new worlds have requested training teams. We need more instructors." "That is wonderful news," Maya said. "But we need to be careful. Each world is different. Each predator species has its own needs." "We know," Linara said. "That is why we want you to personally oversee the expansion. You would travel to each world and help set up the new programs." Maya looked around at her friends. Storm, Blade, and Echo would love to travel to new worlds. They enjoyed meeting new species and learning about different environments. "When do we start?" Maya asked. Dr. Ben Carter joined the group with his own news. "I have been analyzing the data from all our programs," he said. "Maya, what you started here is not just about predators. The same methods work for any species that has trouble getting along with others." "What do you mean?" 3 different worlds have asked us to help with territorial disputes between neighboring species. The techniques you developed for building trust and understanding work for all kinds of conflicts." Maya had never thought about it that way, but Ben was right. Respect, patience, and understanding were useful for any relationship. "The galaxy is changing," Elena said. "Children on dozens of worlds are growing up believing that friendship is possible between any species. They do not have the old fears and prejudices." Maya looked out the window again. In another training yard, she could see children from several species playing together with young predators. The children were laughing and having fun. The predators were gentle and protective. "That is the real victory," Maya said. "Not just that we tamed the predators, but that we changed how people think." Storm made a new sound that Maya had never heard before. It was deeper and more complex than his usual musical tones. Ben immediately started recording it with his instruments. "What does that mean?" Maya asked. Ben listened to the sound again and checked his computer. "I think Storm is trying to say something important. This sound has patterns that match language structures." Maya knelt down and looked at Storm's eyeless head. "What are you trying to tell me, boy?" Storm made the sound again, then gently touched Maya's face with his crystal claw. Blade and Echo came over and added their own voices to the sound. "They are harmonizing," Ben said with excitement. "Maya, I think they are trying to create new words. They want to communicate more complex ideas." Maya felt tears in her eyes. Her friends were still growing and learning. Even after all this time, together they continued to surprise her. Admiral Zorketh spoke up. "Captain Rodriguez, there is one more thing. The Council has decided to create a new holiday. We want to call it Partnership Day. It will celebrate the day you first walked into the Council chambers with Storm, Blade, and Echo." "A holiday is not necessary," Maya said. "It is very necessary," Linara said. "You changed the galaxy, Maya. You showed us that friendship is always possible if we are brave enough to try." Maya looked around at all her friends, both human and alien. Storm, Blade, and Echo were still making their complex musical sounds. Guardian and Harmony had joined in, creating a beautiful harmony. "You know what I think?" Maya said. "I think we were all teachers and students at the same time. I learned as much from them as they learned from me." As the sun set over the Institute, Maya made a decision. Tomorrow, she would accept the Council's offer to expand the program. She and her 3 companions would visit new worlds and meet new species. There were still predators out there who needed friends. There were still people who needed to learn about trust and understanding. But tonight, she would just enjoy this moment. She was surrounded by friends from across the galaxy. The sounds of different species talking and laughing filled the air. Above them, ships from hundreds of worlds came and went peacefully. Storm nudged her hand with his head. When she looked down, he made his simplest sound, the one that meant happiness. "I know, boy," Maya said. "I am happy too." The galaxy had learned an important lesson. There were no monsters, only beings who had not yet found friendship. There were no natural enemies, only species who had not yet learned to understand each other. And sometimes all it took was one person brave enough to offer trust instead of fear. and 3 friends willing to prove that love was stronger than instinct. The age of partnership had begun,